So let's keep going. Now we are on promises. Promises are basically ways to pause code, or, well, I wouldn't say pause, but like they let you return your code once something is finished. It's basically the property or the fundamental of asynchronous code in JavaScript. So one thing that's important to understand, JavaScript is a single-threaded language. There is no multi-threading. If you want to do multi-threading, you have to start up multiple instances. It's not like Rust where you say, all right, I have my main instance and I'm going to run some code on some other threads. So I'm going to just demonstrate for you. So the difference between async, Y and C, and multi. Yeah, I don't really care. Async and multi-thread. Multi-thread has a main instance, and you start up. You go to this thread, and you go to this thread, and you create multiple threads which run at the same time, literally on different cores of your CPU, right? Asynchronous is still technically synchronous, but you can wait for something to be done, okay? So you have your main thread, which is actually, this is your main thread, okay? And I'm going to run something, and as that is running, maybe it's calling, like starting a request that's going to return something, okay? As that's running, I'm going to run this thing and run this thing and run this thing. And then once this is done, this will return back and run that, okay? So that's the concept of asynchronous code. Way I like to think about it, I use this analogy a lot, and I think it's a great analogy, is COVID testing. So the difference between sync, async, and multi-thread. So if you have, if you are testing a bunch of people for COVID, okay, in sync, if you're doing it synchronously, you test one person, you wait for that test to be done, which takes 15 minutes, and then you test the second person. Asynchronous code, and then you do it over and over again. So if you have 30 people, if you have 10 people, it's going to take 150 minutes. Plus the amount of time it takes to run the test, like to swab and stuff like that. And then you have asynchronous, where you test them all cascadingly at the same time. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. And the reason I do that, because they all take, say they take 20 seconds per. So between these, all of these, it's 20 seconds. So now you have already used up 200 seconds. Okay. And then that's in seconds. And then each of those takes 15 minutes. That sucks. 15 minutes. Yeah. And so the longest you have to wait is 10 minutes and 20 seconds. Okay. That's asynchronous code because they will all be done after 15 minutes and return at this amount of time. So while it will take 15 minutes, it's not taking 150 minutes. Okay. Multi-threading basically gets rid of this thing. And instead of it being in 200 seconds, it's now 20 seconds because you literally test all of them at the same time. And they all return after 15 minutes. And they all return at the same time. That's the concept of multi-threading. JavaScript cannot do this because it is single-threaded. So a promise, actually I'm going to go back. A promise is basically this arrow. It's waiting for the next thing, waiting for something to happen. Okay. So two things can happen with a promise. It can resolve, meaning it's done, or reject, meaning there's a failure. Okay. And then you have pending, fulfilled, and rejected. Those are just like, that's a state of the promise. So if it's still waiting for something, like it is requested from a server, so you have a client and server. Actually, client, server. Client is sending something to the server, is taking a long time, and the server haven't sent back. Right now it is pending. once the server sends back, it could either be fulfilled or rejected, okay? Because like the server could have had a failure, or it's a bad request or something like that. Or it could just be, that's a good request, and here's the response. So that's kind of the fundamental part of promises. It's about waiting for something to happen, okay? So I will see you in the next video.